Hello friends, my name is Maddie and welcome back to my YouTube channel. For today's video, I'm going to be going over the 24 books I ended up reading in the month of March. I had an absolutely fantastic reading month, and I feel like recently I've just really kind of nailed the kind of books that I really like and really want to read. And so I'm not like wasting my time on books that I don't like really care for. Alright, so let's go ahead and get started. One of the first books I ended up reading in the month of May was Unravel Me by Becca Mack, and this is a hockey romance, and I ended up giving it 4.5 out of 5 stars. I have absolutely just like fallen in love with Becca Mack and her writing. I think she's so funny. So Unravel Me is about Adam, who is a goalie on a hockey team, and he's very popular. He's a bit of a playboy, and him and his ex-girlfriend in a previous book, they break up because she has been cheating on him, and he now wants nothing to do with her, so he's kind of like back on the market playing the field, where he runs into Rosie, who is a vet student and a single mother. And so what I really loved about this book is that they're both trying to find a balance in each other's lives without overstepping each other's boundaries. Another one of my favorite aspects of this book is the found family and just the dynamics of each other's friend groups, and like the main, like the hockey team itself and all their girlfriends are just really funny, and they're always looking out for each other and giving each other advice, and it's just really super sweet, and I adore them so much. I also really loved Adam's character and how he just wanted to be the best partner for Rosie. So he picks up, and like one scene he ends up picking up like a how to be a step parent without like overstepping in a way. And I just thought it was so super sweet, and I thought this book was just a perfect balance of being funny and serious, and it is just a fantastic read. One of the next books I ended up picking up was Good Material by Dolly Alderton. I ended up giving this book 3 out of 5 stars because this book, for what it was so underwhelming for a character that was overwhelmingly pathetic. So this is about Andy, and his girlfriend has randomly broken up with him without a reason. He's 35, he's a stand-up comedian, and he's kind of working job to job. And we're in his head for about 80% of the book, and I did enjoy the last like 20% where we're in his girlfriend's head and like things started to click a little bit. But I think this book just did not pack the punch it intended to. There were definitely parts about this book that were lacking, but I did enjoy the characters' friendships. I would absolutely pick up another book by Dolly Alderton. I think I would probably enjoy her autobiographical books more, but this one for me was just not it. Then I ended up picking up Steel Princess and Twisted Kingdom by Rena Kent. This is the second and third book in the Royal Elite Academy series, and this kind of finishes up Aiden and Elsa's little trilogy. I am absolutely obsessed with Rena Kent's writing. I'm not a big fan of high school romances. This is the exception. This and Boys Atonement are my exception for high school romances. This is about Elsa, who goes to this Royal Elite Academy pretty much, and from the first day Aiden is out to get her. He absolutely hates her and she has no idea why. I really appreciate the twist in Rena Kent's books. I feel like I never see them coming. I don't know why, but I just never see them coming, and they're just a really great read. They're so fun to read. They're a little bit twisted given the titles. I really enjoyed the characters' connections, and the plot itself was really engaging. The next book I read was a little bit underwhelming for me as well, and it was The Dare by Elle Kennedy, and I ended up giving this one 3 out of 5 stars. I've noticed in Elle Kennedy's books a lot of her female main characters are sorority sisters, but for some reason they hate being in sororities, and they hate all of their sorority sisters. So it's kind of like one of those things where it's like, why are you there? I was in a sorority in college, so I don't get, like, I loved being in a sorority. I loved being a sorority sister. I loved being basic. It was so much fun to me. So I don't get why these girls like don't enjoy it. Like, why are you there if you don't enjoy being around these girls? Because that's like kind of the whole point of being in a sorority, is being with your friends. So anyway, besides the point, that to me that's just always a bit of a turn off. So this was about Taylor, who was dared by her mean sorority sisters to hook up with Connor, who is a bit of a playboy, and he agrees to go along with it when he figures out what she's trying to do, and he wants to continue fake dating. So it was okay in my opinion, but my little rant was really annoying. Ooh, another really disappointing one was How Does It Feel by Janine O'Reilly. I ended up giving this one 2 out of 5 stars. I had so many things wrong with this book. Nothing happens in the first third of this book. It's all very set up. And it just kind of drags on for a really, really long time. Then the male main character is all of a sudden in love with this female main character after he has one conversation with her about how much he hates humans and how much he like despises her for being a human. Okay, lover boy. It's giving Whiplash. I felt like the characters were very bland and didn't have any dimension to them, and the plot was just kind of meh, and it felt like a Walmart version of the ACOTAR, but if it was what happened under the mountain, if you know what I mean. I will definitely not be continuing this series. No one can convince me otherwise. One of the next books I ended up picking up, and I don't know why it took me so long to pick this book up, and it is Bride by Ali Hazelwood. I love Ali Hazelwood in general, and I love her STEM books, so why hadn't I picked up the vampire one when I love vampires? What is wrong with me? Bride is about Misery, who has basically been raised by humans, and so she doesn't fit in the human world because she's a vampire, but then she doesn't fit in the vampire world because she was raised by humans. And then her father, who is in this like high vampire society, marries her off to the alpha of the wolf pack, on top of Misery trying to adjust to her new husband and her new life with werewolves who do not trust her as far as they could throw her. She is trying to find a friend from the human realm who has like suddenly gone missing. I really, really like this one. To me, we're not here for the smut in this one, friends. If you're looking for smut, this ain't it. It is really good though. Ali Hazelwood really, really thrives with characters rather than plot, and I feel like this is like an excellent example of that, and I really don't mind it. I love Ali Hazelwood. I ended up giving this one 5 out of 5 stars. I finally ended up picking up and finishing Reckless Stars, which is Zodiac 9, and I ended up giving this one 4.5 out of 5 stars, I believe. I'm so excited that this series is like finally over. It was definitely a very bittersweet moment, and all the characters kind of got their happy endings, and we got to see the end of it all, and I'm so happy about it. I'm glad that it's over. It's been a long journey. If you have not read Zodiac Academy, basically it's about these two twin girls who are raised in the human world, and all of a sudden they're thrown into the world of Fae, and all the Fae have like different characteristics based on like their zodiac signs and based on what like class order they are, and it's just a really, really fun book to read. It's a bit mindless. It's really funny in my opinion, and is it the best thing that's written out there? Absolutely not, but you were here for a good time, not a long time, friends. But it is now complete, so if you haven't checked out Zodiac Academy because you've been waiting for this series to finish, it's now done. Then I ended up picking up My Roommate is a Vampire, and I ended up giving this one 4 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed this book. This was about a vampire named Frederick who has been very resistant to change. He puts out an ad so he can find a roommate to live with, and that's when Cassie steps in, and Cassie is a art student / teacher situation going on. She's trying to teach, but kind of between like career shifts a little bit. The thing I loved most about this book was the fact that Frederick was so resistant to change, but all of a sudden he's like in love with Cassie and is like willing, like he's getting Wi-Fi. He's buying food and groceries and like really, really nice pans for her because he doesn't have to cook and buy groceries ever because he's a vampire. But yeah, I just thought it was really sweet that he was willing to change his ways for her after being like stuck in like the 18th century pretty much. And I thought his awkward charmingness was just really endearing. One of the next books I picked up that I really, really enjoyed was Austin Heat by Amari Nilix. I think that's how you say it. This is about Jake, who is a star football player, and he's trying to kind of right his wrongs in a way. He's trying to get away from this public image of being a playboy and messing around with girls and partying. And that's when Raquel steps in, and she's an escort who's hired to be his long-term girlfriend, and she's trying to also get away from the industry, and she thinks that he is a normal guy, so she kind of falls for him even though he's kind of been deceiving her this whole time. But yeah, so basically these two are just hiding things from one another, and it's very not toxic, but it's very entertaining to read. I guess you could say it's a little bit toxic, but it's not like bad lying. They're just trying to protect one another and protect themselves for the most part. This is a series I will definitely be continuing. It's almost kind of like Gossip Girl meets like Friday Night Lights Alright, one of the next books I ended up picking up was Love Redesigned by Lauren Asher, and I ended up giving this one 4 out of 5 stars. So this is about Julian, who is an architect, and Dahlia, who is an interior designer, and they used to have a little fling when they were younger, and now they are back in Wisteria Lake, and they are pretty much kind of forcing each other to work on this house that they want to rebuild and redesign together. And also on top of that, their mothers are obsessed with them getting together again. Gotta love teen moms. Overall, I really enjoyed this book. I think Lauren Asher is just a really fun writer and is very good at tackling heavier subjects. In this one, it deals with a lot of grief and parent loss and the ways that it changed the characters. Lauren Asher is really good at handling healing within her books and finding like that inner peace. So yeah, it's a really good book. I really enjoyed it, and I will definitely be continuing on this series. I really enjoy Lauren Asher overall, so this was definitely a great read for me. The next book I picked up was An Education in Malice by S.T. Gibson. I ended up giving this one 5 out of 5 stars. I also did not know this was a vampire romance, so I picked it up and was like, oh, how have I not read this sooner? So this is about a girl named Laura who moves to Massachusetts to attend this very prestigious school and this very prestigious writing program, and she very quickly forms this rivalry with a girl named Carmilla, who is their professor's favorite. And it's very obvious that Carmilla is Professor de la Fontaine's favorite student, and they have a bit of a toxic student-teacher relationship going on. They're kind of like sneaking around a little bit. This book is just filled with lust and secrets, and de la Fontaine is an endless vault of secrets, and I absolutely love the dark academia aspects of it, and I think it was just really, really well done for such a short book that it is. It's only like 250 pages, I think. This is by far one of the best dark academia books that I've read, and I feel like for how short it is, it really just packs a punch, and there's so much action that happens in it. And one of my favorite scenes is Carmilla and Laura running through the rain together, and to me it was just something so carefree and whimsical in a world that was very dark and mysterious, and I just absolutely really love this book. The next book I ended up picking up was Malice by John Gwynne, and I really, really enjoyed this book. So this is about a broken world with giants, and it's almost like Game of Thrones, but if there were giants instead of dragons. Yeah, that's how I'm gonna explain this one. But basically, this is just an epic tale of classic good versus evil, and you're trying to figure out who you can trust in this book and who these characters are gonna trust. And I really enjoyed it. There's 4 main characters, but you're following a bunch of other characters as well, and I really just enjoyed it so much. I really enjoyed the Crown Prince and his point of view a whole lot, and I'm very excited to keep reading this book. So one of the next books I picked up was Glow of the Everflame by Penn Cole, and I ended up giving this one 4.5 out of 5 stars, and I so seriously enjoyed this book. I cannot tell you the last time I was this excited for a fantasy romance series. Like, it's been a long time. So this is the second book in the Kindred's Curse series, and I'm just way more intrigued in this book than I was in the first book. Firstly, the female main character, DM, she's an incredible female main character. I feel like she's very observant of those around her, and she's constantly learning and constantly picking up things. She's very humble, and she knows what she knows, and if she doesn't know it, like, she's gonna learn it. Like, she's gonna find someone to learn this info from if you're not going to give it to her. And if she doesn't know, then she's like, okay, she's very, again, like, humble about it, and it's not like she's like a know-it-all. Secondly, the romance in this book is so slow and it's perfect, and I cannot wait to see this be executed. It's gonna be so good. I cannot wait to read the third book, truthfully. Last thing is that the world building in this book has been immaculate, and I feel like it's paced super duper well, and it gives you the right information at the right time, so you're not overwhelmed with world building, but you're not super like underwhelmed with it as well. And I cannot tell you the last time I have read a book and been like, I need to know everything about this world and everything in it. It has been far too long. And so when I'm saying that, I'm saying it with my whole chest, with my whole heart, that this book is just absolutely absolutely incredible. I told you I got a really good reading month. I have a ton of like 4.5, 5 stars. It's been a really good month. The next book I ended up picking up was Nero by S.T. Tilley, and I ended up giving this one 5 out of 5 stars. So this is about Peyton, and she was kicked out of her house, ran away when she was like 17, so she's been on her own for a while. She's trying to survive on her own, and that's when she walks into her house one day, and Nero is just like sitting on her couch and kind of becomes obsessed with her, stalks her a little bit. What can I say? Good love a good possessive toxic male. So I loved Nero's possessiveness and his way of protecting her and wanting to give her everything that like she wants and just wanting her to be happy. I thought the high stakes plot in this book was really well paced, and I also thought the smut was great. Smut great. It hits so good. This is definitely one of my favorite mafia books that I have read, for sure. One of the next books I read was Blood Witch by Susan Dennard, and this has just been a fantastic book about witches and their super cool powers. So in this one, armies are kind of advancing, so there's a lot of battle scenes going on in here. Battle scenes in this book are some of my favorite battle scenes that I've ever read, probably ever, and I think they're just executed really well, and you just can really visualize it. And sometimes it's really hard to do, like reading action's really hard, but in this one you could just see it like it was a movie. It's just absolutely fantastic, and I cannot wait to continue the series. One of the next books that I am so glad that I ended up picking up this month was Ruthless Vows by Rebecca Ross, and I ended up giving this one 5 out of 5 stars. And so, without giving this away too much, I felt like the world building in this book was absolutely exceptional, and all the questions I had from the first book were all solved in this book, and I feel like it just dove so much deeper into the lore and kind of the lore of the war in this book versus in the second book, where you're kind of like, what the heck is going on? Why are they fighting this war? Besides knowing names, like you really just get a grasp for the characters, and I so thoroughly enjoyed it. I feel like everything that was missing from the first book was executed perfectly in this book, so I cannot recommend this series enough because it was just so well done. Another book that I picked up this month that I ended up giving 5 out of 5 stars to was Alone with You in Ether by Olivia Blake. At first, when I was halfway through this book, I was like, I'm not sure I'm gonna like this book. There is a lot of rambling and a lot of inner dialogue and a lot of inner thoughts, and I wasn't sure this book was for me. But by the time I finished it, I yearned for the long paragraphs and the incessant dialogue and just the chaos that is the characters' minds. About halfway through, everything clicked, everything fell into place, and I just loved the nonsensical rambling, and it was really good. So this is about Reagan and Aldo. Aldo is a student, a mathematical student, and Reagan is a counterfeit artist who's in therapy, and she's trying to get like her meds right. And they basically fall in love, and they're trying to resist each other for different reasons, and it was just overall so fantastic. Cannot recommend it enough. Then I ended up picking up King of Sloth by Anna Huang, and I ended up giving this one 4 out of 5 stars. So this is about Xavier and Sloane. Xavier is a kind of playboy, party boy, lives a very carefree lifestyle, hence why it's King of Sloth. And Sloane, who runs a prestigious PR firm, and she's very like type A, everything is like her way or the highway, and she like has not taken a vacation in forever, and the last time she took a vacation it was like to take care of someone or take care of a funeral or whatever the case may be. But these two very slowly fall in love, and I thought it was really well done, and they kind of take on the most important aspects of each other's lives. So Xavier learns to be a little bit more tied down, and Sloane learns to be a little bit more carefree, and so I thought that was a really interesting dynamic of like this opposites attract sort of way. I also thought the family dynamics were really interesting because Xavier is kind of feels like he's a bit of a disappointment to his family, and Sloane is kind of exiled from her family for certain reasons. So they're almost kind of alone, and they really lean on each other, so like in that found family aspect I thought was really, really sweet. And I read Throne of Broken Gods, which I ended up giving 4 out of 5 stars to. This has been a really great fantasy romance series as well. So this is about Diana, who sells her soul basically to save her sister, and in turn she turns into this monster and pretty much ends the world and kills all these ancient gods and other people. And then you have Sam Keel, who is, his family was slaughtered by Diana, and they are looking for this book together and trying to sort out who's good, who's evil, who we can trust. And the twist at the end of these books are so good, and I just kept wanting rereading more. And the 3rd book just came out, and I'm very excited to continue the series this month. The next book I read was Serpent and Wings of Night, which I ended up giving 4.5 out of 5 stars to. And again, I don't know why I put this off in my TBR for so long, because this book was absolutely fantastic. It has a little bit of everything that I love. It has a good, solid competition, Hunger Games-esque competition too, might I add. It's got vampires. Hello. It has a fantastic female main character, fantastic male character, a complex political system, vampires. Need I say more, friends? It also has a heartless betrayal that at the end of this book that I cannot wait to see play out, and I'm sad, I'm seated. Then I ended up picking up the novella 6 Scorched Roses, which is about Vale and Lilith. Lilith is supposed to visit Vale like 6 times, and she's searching for a cure, and she's like slowly dying. And these two are supposed to play a really big role in the 2nd book, so I'm really excited to see what role they play and like what they're doing, pretty much. Another fantastic book that I ended up picking up this month was The Prison Healer by Lynette Nani, and I ended up giving this one 5 out of 5 stars. So this is about Kiva, who is been in this prison for 10 years. Her family keeps saying they're gonna come for her, and they like haven't. She is also the warden's favorite because she heals all the prisoners, and she's very protected by the warden, so the other prisoners don't really trust her because, you know, why would they trust someone who trusts the warden? And the rebel queen is captured. Kiva's family sends a message basically saying, keep her alive, we're coming for her. The rebel queen is supposed to undergo this trial by 4 different elements, and basically everyone dies in these trials. So because of that, Kiva decides to take the queen's place because the queen is dying and they can't figure out what's wrong with her, and Kiva can't heal her. I just really enjoyed this book. There is an incredible twist at the end, so many incredible twists at the end, and I thought the world building was really great considering you're only confined in this small little prison. You don't know a whole lot about what's going on, and I just thought it was absolutely fantastic. Again, there were just so many twists at the end that I truthfully didn't see coming. I'm not very good at protecting plot twist, if you can't tell, but this book was just absolutely incredible, and I have such high hopes for this series, and I cannot wait to continue it. Okay, I got news. I think I'm becoming a nonfiction girly. Yikes. Alright, so one of the last books I ended up finishing this month, and it absolutely broke me because it's so sad, and it's true. Like, this happened, and it was Radium Girls by Kate Moore. And if you're gonna read any book, it's gotta be this one, man. Oh my god. Okay, so this is about girls in like the late 20s into like the 40s pretty much, where these girls are painting dials, clock dials, and they're painting it with radium paint. So in order to like get a sharper line, they would paint they would use their mouths pretty much to take the paint away from the brush and make it nicer. And obviously they're getting radium poisoning. So over the course of this book, you're watching so many girls deteriorate and die. And it is absolutely gut-wrenching because you know it's bad, but they don't know what's wrong with them, and their company keeps saying everything's fine, but they've known since like the early 1900s that radium is bad for you. I mean, Marie Curie is still like, you can't go near her coffin at all because she's full of radium. So all these poor girls are like slowly dying, and you see them fighting for their rights and fighting for justice and fighting for this company to pay their medical bills, and they won't do it. And it's just, it's absolutely gut-wrenching. And the entire time I read it, it took me so long to read it because I kept getting this like pit in my stomach because I was so just devastated and heartbroken. And all these girls are so, like, they're young, they're like 16 years old sometimes as young as like 30, and they have families, or they hope to have families, and they had so many dreams and aspirations, and they never got to live them out. And it's just absolutely devastating. And the fact that it's real, that it happened, is just, it's absolutely heartbreaking. And enough said, am I right? But yeah, this is hands down probably one of my favorite books that I've ever read, and I can't recommend it enough. I also think Kate Moore does a fantastic job of really breaking down, and it's so digestible and you can follow the characters so easily. It's just, even though you're following up to like 30 characters at points, and you feel like you know these girls so super well, and it's just so well researched, and it was just an incredible read. Alright, and that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed. If you liked this video, please feel free to like and subscribe, and we can talk more about bookish content. I hope you have a fantastic day. Bye!